What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another Chance Encounter. Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. Power line today is kind of close. What's up again? This is Dan Fredenberg. Travis, you've joined me today. How are you doing today?
Good, buddy, man. How are you? Grateful to be here.
I can't really complain. So, and for anybody who knows Travis and doesn't know me or this show, the way that we work is I interview the commercial real estate investors. I go through the 5 different motivations that I found people have for wanting to get a new piece of a commercial property, and then I go through the 6 different roles in a commercial deal, in the acquisition or the operation or the flipping of them. And I say, which one of these is you? But we're really adding this additional exposure because all of us, want to get further in life. And one of the most important things for success, as far as I'm concerned, is being able to introduce yourself. So, Travis, can you please introduce yourself for the audience?
Sure. I am an active duty Marine stationed in California and married, 4 kids, living the California dream, and have a 4-minute walk to the beach and some of the greatest breaks in all of Southern California. And if you know where Lowers or Trestles is, that's my backyard. Mm-hmm. As a real estate investor, lost everything during the Great Recession, started over again in 2018. I have acquired some single-family homes in Wisconsin, equity partner in land deal in Arizona, LP in syndication in Texas, a private lender in many different, probably say 6 different private lending opportunities, and then own a small commercial piece of property in Cleveland, Ohio.
Excellent, excellent. So that brings us to our first segment here, which is, if I pop the screen on there, it's the motivation piece. And I found that a lot of people, when they're first just getting started, they don't necessarily know what they're going to be doing when they get into commercial deals. So that's why I feel it's more comfortable for the newer guests for me to go through motivation first. So the 5 that I found, the first one is preserving purchasing power. And so there's a certain, non-working class part of society. And what they really do is they just make sure that their assets end up preserving their standard of life. And so the biggest concern they have is inflation. So they need to make sure that they invest their capital in something that will have some sustainability. The second reason is my one, which is that as a high earner in tech, I have the option of a high salary, but if I want to end up accumulating wealth, I have to go through an intermediate step of income tax. And so it does make more sense, me being the entrepreneurial type, that I go directly into co-GPing on these different deals. And that way I'm trading my time and effort directly to wealth. So that's what I'm up to. The next reason is the most common one, which is that people want to fast track their retirement. So there are 2 things that are implied when I say fast tracking retirement, though. The first one is that there's an end point in sight. You do actually want to retire. You don't want to hustle in your 90s or whatever. So that's one of them. But the other one is that I would say that somebody who is doing time to wealth is more likely to not have as much capital to work with. So at least when you're fast tracking your retirement, you're probably working with something to make it happen. But that brings me to the next one, which is the super ambitious people who will never quit. They want to buy their entire hometown. That level of ambition is what drives them. And so when they're in their 90s, they're going to be hustling no matter what. So at least with these guys, unlike the fast track retirement people, you can be a lot more confident that they're not going to become an accredited investor and just rest on their laurels and say, it's like, okay, this stuff is your problem. But after these ambitious guys, that brings me to the last ones, which is there's some people who have a specific part of society or some cause that they really want to forward, and they often realize that accumulating wealth is one of the best vehicles to have that impact with that group that you can possibly have. So they're looking to help some people in particular. So with you then, out of those 5 different motivations, which ones or what combination resonates with you or best describes what your situation is there, Travis?
Well, I'll tell you, I don't want to be the old geezer that owns the town, right? I saw what happens when I watched Roadhouse. I see what happens when that happens, and that's not good. And I definitely have, rush to retirement. Of course, I'm an active duty Marine. I've got a set time left before I retire. And I don't want to have a W-2 job when I retire. I want to be able to have cash flowing real estate, cash flowing properties. And then like the last one, that provides, a good quality product for someone that wants to live in there, that can't afford, or for whatever reason chooses to rent. And if they rent from a place or a property that I own, either through, active engagement or passive engagement, that they want to live there, that I am proud to say, hey, I'm a part of that property that provides that for you to be a tenant, and that's power, right? And then the optionality that real estate and the financial freedom that provides is a huge motivator. I want to go and have a fulfilling life outside of the Marine Corps, outside of my pension, outside of my disability, like all of those things that, yes, that money is great. And a lot of military people will be like, well, I'm getting my pension, right? And that's like my house payment.
Right.
I don't want that to be a factor. I want the real estate and the different types of real estate opportunities to fuel volunteer services, go to Taiwan and live on 5% of my income, like things of that nature that allows me to go build a school or paint a wall or dig a ditch or put in a canal, like whatever that stuff is, that optionality provides me. And I think that real estate is one of the greatest vehicles that allows me to do that.
Right, that's excellent, and you probably saw that I got the real estate as a scam in the corner there, and that kind of reminds me of like, like I do think that the system is rigged a little bit, but it's rigged in favor of real estate. That's like even in real estate you always say location, 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 and really what that means is scarcity. If you have one piece of dirt, nobody else can have a piece of dirt right in that spot, and there's so much. Like when you look at the other things that you can invest in, you might as well play with them instead of against them, I guess. But I have a real soft spot for tenants just because of all the time that I lived on the other side of the world, right? It's if you're not living in your own home country, then purchasing doesn't really make any sense. Sometimes it's not even possible, but since we're talking about real estate, there's my segue for you. Let's go to the next segment, which is talking about the 6 different roles. So usually when I talk about the 6 different roles, I start off with repositioner because with my digital skills, that is the primary side that I take, at least helping other sponsors. But you can see that I got pictures of a couple different properties here and some paperwork and all that kind of stuff. So a repositioner has to do the underwriting. In other words, they have to do the math. I'm talking to you in the audience, by the way. But they have to do the math to figure out, okay, which properties have enough upside, which ones are actually going to work out. And so find them, but how do you get the upside? The 2 easy ways are more efficient operations. You can see the Benjamins going down the toilet there, because even every time a tenant flushes a toilet, it costs you. So, and that has an impact as far as upside as a repositioner and whatnot, but somebody's got to perform the maintenance. But the other reason why I put the bills in there is because, the bookkeeping, that is another role in operations. And then, me, I also contribute not only to like inventory control, streamlining, that sort of thing, but also for the marketing side, which is making sure that vacancies stay low, right? But that's usually not enough these days as a repositioner to find a property that has big upside, because after all, this is the hottest real estate market in history. So another method that even recently before COVID, people were doing like crazy is they get a contractor in there, they make the apartment units nicer, and then that way you can charge more rent. So more money's coming in, that's upside. But there's one problem that I personally have. You're active duty, so you're going to have something similar to this as well, is you're going to need a local. You're going to need boots on the ground, somebody who can be there in about an hour. And that's not going to be me, because I'm not even going to be
Yep.
finding my passport in an hour. So you definitely need some good boots on the ground, some local people to make it work. And that covers your day-to-day roles more or less. So when the repositioner has actually got the property and the team in play and they know what they're going to do, they're going to go around to the financier, in other words, the bank, and say, hey, lend me millions of dollars because I want to buy this and it's millions of dollars. And they'll say, okay, who's your team? What's your property? Let's make sure of that. Okay, but who's your sponsor? And that's the one that a lot of coaches, they don't really talk about that because they're probably hoping to be your sponsor. But really, a sponsor is someone who already owns a similar asset. So even Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, if they want to buy an apartment complex that is 350 units and they want to get a loan, they have to have somebody in the fold who already owns a similar asset. In other words, an apartment complex with 350 units. And then you have to have a balance sheet of at least the value of the loan. So that's the super duper fast version of the 6 different roles. And the reason why I wanted to go through that for the audience is to ask you, Travis, what are your core competencies, or what's the most likely roles you'd have in the acquisition, operation, or flipping of your next commercial apartment deal or commercial deal in general?
Well, I'll tell you that my last commercial deal with the small multifamily and the small commercial in Cleveland, I was definitely the dude washing those Benjamins down the toilet. Rehab budget went to crap, and that was a huge learning lesson. I think that one of my biggest superpower is that I connect people, and I think that goes along with sponsor, and that goes along with the financing. I have been fortunate to bring, especially here in the military community, we get very used to having a paycheck on the 1st and 15th. And we get very used to leaving the military and, leaving on Friday in camis and coming to work on Monday in a suit and just kind of riding in a new contractor job. And then we don't understand what is out there. And so I've been fortunate to be able to share opportunities of syndications, of private lending, of just saying, hey, like, this stuff is a thing. And if you want to have, even if it's, I don't care what your number is, maybe it's a certain number of units, or maybe it's a certain price tag, or, cash flow and net, whatever that number is, connecting those people that never knew the opportunity existed to finding the people that have the opportunity and putting those two together. And that for me is happy. Like, my mantra with that is like, your success is my happiness, because that truly is something that I see fulfillment in my life, to be like, you have something that you scraped really hard for. These people that I know through relationship and networking have a solid track record. They're able to have this property, and then I'm going to bring you two together. And if you guys make it happen, which they have on, I think now 5 occasions, that's just awesome to me.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So I especially like the part about how you were mentioning, like, one thing I conflate when I talk about the financiers is it's the capital raisers are also a form of financier, right? And you hit the nail on the head on that one. But so as far as buy box, though, before I get back to who you can help, for buy box, or the ideal property in terms of unit count and geographical areas, what's a real sweetheart deal for you? Like, what's the thing where, it's basically a no-brainer for you compared to other ones if the price is right?
Oh, I would love to have an 8 to 20 unit apartment complex that's built, 19, because I'm in Cleveland mostly. So everything is older. And being in the Southwest, if it's in the 1900s, it's basically a historical monument, and you can't live in it anyways. And so just an 8 to 20 unit apartment complex that's got good bones, that has a pretty cool name, because they like to name all their names there in Cleveland of the multifamilies, which I think is just cool. And that's in a good area that's either gentrifying or just a good solid C plus area.
Yeah, I've seen some of that. Yeah, I worked for a Cleveland company for 6 years, even though it was all remote based. And I was just thinking about the name of one of them that I didn't think was that snappy. I'm sure you can give them better names, right? There's nothing really stopping you from, it's I don't know. I like snappy names. You'd never guess by all my websites, but anyway.
Right.
But when it comes to people, then. Can you describe, without breaking any SEC restrictions, so that means you're not allowed to entice investors, okay? So without enticing investors, can you describe the person in real estate that you're best suited to help more than anybody else?
Uh, the person that I'm best suited to help.
So it might be a beginner, it might be somebody who's more experienced, maybe someone who's
Oh,
day in, day out in a
definitely,
certain asset class.
definitely a beginner. Somebody that wants to. That I have more conversations with people wanting to start out in real estate than I have with people that are seasoned. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like um, certain people that have Friday morning meetups on LinkedIn. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
having weekly conversations with them, but I am having weekly conversations with people like, hey Travis, I heard you talk about this, or somebody mentioned that you do real estate. I'd like to learn more, and then we just schedule a time and we talk about it. And then
Mm-hmm.
I ask them their why. I ask them what is it why are you interested? What is driving you to want to do this? And just get to know them and build that network. And if they're like pretty serious, or if they're just kicking the tires, then that kind of allows me to say, hey, you want to talk to these people or this group,
Mm-hmm.
and go from there.
Excellent, excellent. So, and then we met through the meetups, as you mentioned. I found them through LinkedIn. Is LinkedIn the best way to get in touch with you, or is there a website, or what's the best way?
Best way to get a hold of me is at Instagram at Travis Hill 1310.
All right, awesome. So then, thank you for that part. I have something to mention to you in the camera over there, which is if you look below my left hand, you'll notice that there's a red button, and that's bad. It says subscribe. After you've clicked on it, it'll be gray, and that's good. And what that means is, see, if it's red, that means that I pay for these videos. And if it's gray, it means YouTube pays for these videos, and that's way better. So you should totally do that, and it doesn't cost you anything. It just means that my videos might show up on your list of suggestions, and there's no guarantee on that anyway. But thanks a bunch for coming today, Travis. This has been really awesome.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Cheers.